Welcome to another episode of Getting Real in the Field. This is the show where we take all the things that you hate to do, follow up, calling your past clients, and just overall doing your job. And we're here to help you be more successful with all of that junk. And here's your host, Khek Teh and JP Fluellen.
There's a big audience there.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We have a huge studio audience all across the globe, and we're here to come back at you with another great episode with some great content. And today, what are we talking about again, Khek?
Well, I got a new question today that I want. I got asked the other day, and I was talking to a client. So I want to get your perspective, and then kind of maybe record this and share it with our audience as well too. So what's the best lead source? What's the best lead source? There's a whole bunch of lead sources out there between Google and Facebook, and sure, there are a whole bunch of others as well, like Zillow, Realtor. But for the most part, like if you want to do your own advertising, what would you recommend, Facebook or Google? Thoughts? This would be a good meaty topic, I think.
It is. And, there's a lot of opinions on this because it's a touchy subject. It's kind of like talking about politics or religion, like what's the best thing to bring up in a group setting, and really it's volume versus quantity. It's always that balance. And that's the leads have always, that's the age old question is, do I pay for quality leads or do I want quantity leads? And what makes a good agent is discipline. So your leads are coming in from whatever source it is, but if you're not disciplined in the follow-up aspect of your business, then it doesn't really matter what lead source it is. So if you're looking for quality, I would say probably go with one of the big ones like Zillow or Realtor if you want quality leads. However, they are very pricey. Like on average, it's like $400 a lead in order to per good, solid lead. And that's why these guys charge just astronomical amounts of money for these leads because a lead is going in specifically saying, I have seen 123 Main Street. Tell me more about 123 Main Street. That means that they've already, to some degree, have submerged themselves into the buying process. If you're talking about colder leads, then you're probably going to do Google or Facebook. And I would say as an agent coming out of the gate, getting used to the online lead generation game, I would probably say start off with Facebook and then ease your way into Google because you're going to be able to get more leads, more opportunities. And that's really the idea is to get more opportunities that will turn into leads, that will turn into prospects, then which will lead down to getting an appointment, which then will lead to doing some deals.
I'll give you my perspective as well too. You're right with Zillow. You definitely will get high quality leads. They are a hell lot more expensive. $400 actually is relatively on the lower side of things. It can get upwards, especially depending on how competitive your zip codes are. I always kind of like chuckle at the fact I heard from one agent before, it's like, who used to worked over there before, and they will ask you like, hey, what zip code do you want? And do you want to be in first position, second position? Well, that's like almost kind of saying, how much money do you have in your pocket? I'm going to shake it out of you, right? So competition will drive up.
Nobody wants to be in second position. Especially
of course not.
Yeah, it's like making an offer on a house that's already under contract, dude. Why? Like just be in first position or none.
Yeah. So then with Google or Facebook, then and even if you think about it, Zillow and Realtor.com and all the other guys, the big ones are also using Google for the most part as well too, right? So I look at, there's some strategy I think that you should consider and looking at Facebook versus Google. And I'll kind of lay out some pros and cons. I think that if all the other guys are doing Google, is very expensive and it's pricey. Sometimes 3 or 4 times the cost and even more of a cost per lead in Google versus Facebook. So you have to keep that in mind, right? And then Facebook, you've got leads that are starting to look at homes. They're starting to be in the market, but they're not quite there yet. They're not as hot a lead. But if you're willing to play the long game, you'll get more leads. You will get earlier leads before they hit on with, they touch on Zillow or Realtor.com or any of those leads. And I think that that's where you can get more leads cheaper if you're willing to play the long game. And when I say long game, those leads might, be 6 months out, right? But you will get more leads. I've gotten leads as low as like, $2-3 per lead. Really depends on what market you're in. $2-3. That's phenomenally cheap. And then I did a same test on Google. We're paying about $14 per lead. Now, when you do that comparison, the number of leads, I can get 7 leads for every 1 Google lead I'm getting. And if I can do the follow-up that you're talking about, I think I would probably go with the Facebook scenario.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I always tell my agents too, it's like, there are no bad leads. There's just bad follow-up.
And that's 100%. The follow-up game is huge, no matter where you get your lead source from. Be it Zillow, I've seen agents where they've gotten leads from Zillow and they've forgotten to follow up with them because they got too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about
and
wasting
a no
money.
typically always means not right now.
Yeah.
Call me later.
Yeah.
Unless they just say, take me from off your list. And then of course you have to honor their wishes.
Exactly. Right. But if you think about that, if you don't follow up, no matter what leads you're getting from what lead source, you're throwing away money if you don't follow up.
Yep. And remember, if you're joining a team, like if you join our team, it's out of respect for your team leader, especially if they're generating leads for you, to make sure that you exhaust those leads, because every lead costs money. And when you're not following up on those leads, you're basically saying that the team has no value for you, or that it's not valuable enough to be on a team to follow up with the leads that they're paying for you to get your business going. And that's the idea, is that the value add for joining a team is the fact that they're providing leads for you. And the fact that if you're not following up on those leads, you're just basically telling that team, oh yeah, I remember when I signed that agreement with your team that you were going to provide these leads for me.
Yeah.
But the leads are not good enough either. So it's not enough for me. So then it's like, okay, well then the team's probably not a good fit for you, and you need to spend money on your own leads. Yes. And then if you decide not to call those, then that's just your own money that you're flushing down the toilet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would say we're
not that I've had that experience before or anything.
No, but I will say, in working with hundreds and hundreds of agents, I will tell you that, what you say from the team leader's perspective is right on. Like, if you're a single agent and you're given those leads, you should follow up and treat it like gold, because, when you start spending money for your own leads, it can get expensive if and so therefore it is important to kind of do the follow-up game too.
Yeah. Right? And I think we should do a whole episode on, just how your system works with when a lead comes in. How can you automate all that follow-up? That way your team leader knows that it's being nurtured by the system if you're not going to nurture it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then that way a person can be like, wow, I can just set this all up on autopilot. And then when you're doing your daily routine or part of your time blocking, when you're jumping in and getting in front of your Fieldnotes every day, and you're going through your leads, your top priority leads, your top 5, and working through the notes and, you know, the ones that the system suggests for you to call,
Yeah.
then you can see all of this automation in action.
Yeah. So I guess like, okay, I'm gonna two things that I want to kind of make sure we cover on. One is that I don't know if, based on our discussion and we're kind of talking about, Facebook or Google, I don't know if there's a good way or a definitive answer to say, hey, Google is better or Facebook is better.
Sure.
It really depends. And I would recommend that you do testing too. And what I found often is, Google works in certain markets compared to Facebook. So you have to try and see what works for your
There you
area.
go. Yep.
And the second part of this also is that sometimes you might want to use a combination. So what I do is sometimes for certain markets, I would do a Google lead and then I'll retarget them with Facebook ads because it's cheaper. So you've got to kind of like figure out what works and you do those types of testing. If this is gobbledygook and you don't know what retargeting is and stuff like that, hit us up. We'll cover that topic up later on as well too. But that's the gist of it. The second key takeaway out of this tonight is that follow up. Follow up on those leads. If you don't, it's going to be a very painful process of throwing away your money away.
100%. And that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions as real estate agents and we get our license is that, a lot of times we didn't realize we signed up to be marketers too. And so
And
it's
salespeople,
like, and
yeah,
salespeople and therapists and a best friend
that's
and
right.
a pastor and, a lender
A coach,
and
a
a
life coach.
coach, a financial consultant, all these different hats, and so we just have to realize that we just have to do so many things. And one of the things that definitely drives your business is this marketing piece and if you don't want to learn it and do it yourself, you got to hire it out. You got to leverage it because you've got to either learn how to run around across town and drop off gifts and stay on top of your past clients and create relationships and go on a lot of coffee
Absolutely.
dates and actually the system will actually prepare you for some coffee dates too. So if you have like just a list of customers in your phone from years past, because I know everybody's got like 1,000 contacts in their phone, and you can just upload that into the system and just send out like a text to every single person, say, hey, you want to go out for coffee? And everybody loves coffee. I mean, if you live in America, I don't know if you don't live in America, you might not like coffee, but actually there's that Turkish coffee. Have you ever had that stuff, dude?
Oh,
Turkish coffee?
yes. It is strong and it's good.
It is very strong. It's naturally sweet. And
Is it natural?
yeah, my understanding is it's naturally sweet.
Okay.
I don't know. The Turkish coffee stuff I had was like, it'll wake you up for a week.
Oh, for sure. It'll put hair on your chest too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
that
in
potent.
Turkey, they give that to their children, to make sure that they grow up to have lots of chest hairs, when they're smaller. Like, listen, son, you're not big enough. You need to have some more of this Turkish coffee.
I don't know. That's Eastern European accent.
I don't know what it was, dude. That was my bet. You got me at what is it, 8:49 at night. So I gotta work on I'll be watching some Turkish YouTube videos tonight, figuring out my accents. All right, well. It was like a cross between Russian and confusion.
Oh man. Oh, I think you're trying to wrap up here. So I would add two more little food for thoughts.
Okay.
One, if you get leads from marketing in general, I don't care whether Google, Facebook, Zillow, or anything. Here's some numbers that you statistically to show how hard you need to work on closing the deals. It can range anywhere from 2.5% or 2% to 4.5% conversion rate. That means that, think about that, for 100 leads that you get into, you might, Zillow gets into those leads, and when they hand it off to you, it's like maybe a 4.5%. That means you've got a lot of leads to cover, and it can get tedious and expensive too. So make sure that you do the follow-up, make sure that you're in this for the long game. And I often get like, how much should you be spending, right, for Facebook or Google? Just rule of thumb, it really depends on how many leads you want, or how many transactions you want to spend, or how many transactions you want to close in a given year, what your goal is, and then figure out how many leads you need to generate to close those deals, right? So, but rule of thumb is that minimally, you probably want to spend at least about $300 for Facebook, and Google is about $600, right? So with that, I know we got to wrap up. Any other pearls of wisdom?
I think you got it, Khek. I think you nailed it on a Sunday night, man. Well done. Well
Thank you.
done.
Thank you,
Well,
man.
and on that note, I think that's another episode of Getting Real in the Field. And how can people get a hold of you, Khek, if they really want to know what's going on over in Fieldnotes land?
For sure. If you want to get a hold of me, come visit my website, www.fieldnotes.ai. Okay. Or you can reach and get a hold of me. The number is my direct phone number is 425-740-0260. And you, JP?
You can just reach me at my phone number, 307-772-1184. Or you can go to our website at www.titanreteam.com, or you can PM me on Facebook or on Instagram, or you can check me out over at JP Fluellen on YouTube, and you can reach out to me there as well. And you could subscribe to the content that we're putting out over on JP Fluellen on YouTube as well. So,
and don't forget to subscribe to us too. As we get more questions, we'll be answering. Don't forget to kind of ask and comment, and give us feedback on how we're doing for you.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Getting Real in the Field. Peace.
Peace.